Alright, seems good. Okay, so yeah, I'm not gonna keep doing this for long. I'm not gonna do this actually. Like, this is not me. I'm not used to doing this. I was never good at doing this. Well, and by this I mean streaming and like making content. I just know to do what I know to actually and usually do when I want to make content. It's music related, it's culture related, but this goes beyond a lot of people. This goes beyond all of us. So I guess it's only fair if it's not just a matter of fair, but this is clearly something that I'm gonna have to say something about because like I'm seeing a lot of things that are going completely wrong and I'm not gonna actually stand for them. So yeah, um, I'm gonna be sharing the links. My social media shit. You know what hurts? Like what really sucks is everything that is currently going on. Like I don't know how else to put it. It really fucking sucks. Okay, hold on. Where's my phone? Ugh. Hold on. Gonna be watching, reacting, like doing all kinds of fucking things. Is this gonna make like a good screenshot or like a good thumbnail to put on? Yeah, I guess. Guess I use this link. I'm doing all the fucking works here. Like, give me some time. Hold up. Like, how can I modify it? Oh, shoot, like now it's okay. Embedded, paste, live. Alright, so I guess let's go. Okay, so I've seen a couple of things here, and they really kind of triggered me. So I guess I'm gonna keep doing this until I don't know when. Apparently. So hi, welcome. I don't really give a flying rat's ass about like numbers and views and shit. I'm just doing what I know what to do. That's it. Okay, so let's watch this.
Traditionally played out through diplomacy and propaganda is being played out online. My next guest has almost 500 million views for his provocative commentary online, making him hugely influential. Hasan Piker streams live under the name Hasan Abi. His analysis of the Israel-Hamas war has taken a highly critical stance towards Israel and Western media, and he's been calling me out for my coverage.
Because he only cares about Israeli citizens. He does not care about Palestinians as human beings. That's why it's apples to oranges. It's like one side is a human, the other side is a barbaric monster child.
I never said that, obviously. He says that he'd like nothing more than to come on to Uncensored and call me a baboon in a suit to my face. Well, here I am, a baboon, and he can join me now. I'm joined by Hasan. Hasan, thank you very much indeed for coming on.
Okay, so first of all, like he uses the he uses the element of like being called out and all of that as something to reflect with or like to use at the same time. Like it shows how Piers Morgan slowly as this war kept on progressing and as he kept like bringing more and more cultured and well-based people with opinions on this issue, on this quote unquote conflict, like, and he keeps backing up slowly, and that's really not a kind of confident way to do things or to deal with things. So yeah, that's not my issue though. Like just a sec. I need to refresh and make sure of something before we keep going on further. I don't know what quality do you see my stuff in? Yeah, okay. Okay, so I'm assuming 720. Good enough for me, honestly. Okay. So, I don't know how's the audio quality and or any of that. I honestly don't think it's gonna be something really special or clean or whatever. But yeah, like I just hope. You know what? I'm gonna check myself. You don't have to. I'm not gonna keep like waiting to see if the audio quality is audible enough or like good enough. I'll check myself. Okay, so I'm gonna clearly need to raise my volume a little bit louder. Alright, where's the compressor? I'm gonna have to add one, okay. Yeah. Um, how is this for comparison? Hold on. What about this? Oh no 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 no. Okay, I don't know. I honestly got no idea what am I doing here, or like this. God damn it, dude. Hold on. Um, uh, hi. I don't think that's good. God damn it. Alright, hold on. Yeah. Alright, so put that to the side. Does this mean automatically my voice gets like a little bit louder? Maybe I should check from the sound control prompt. This is too much shit to deal with at once. Levels. Oh, okay, so here we go. So it was the issue was mainly from here. I'm guessing like it got solved right now. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so yeah. So the point that I was trying to make here is that Pierce simply seems like he's backing up bit by bit from this conversation, and it's not really good for him. Like it's kind of showing his colors to all of us, like in terms of when it comes to a religious matter, because no one wants to admit that this is a religious matter. Like, no one really wants to think of it as a religious matter because the US has put too much investments into this to not make it a religious matter. You know that? Like, so yeah, like it keeps the idea of this entire conflict being a religious matter, like, it keeps getting forgotten for most of the Western media and for the most of the Western culture, like especially in the United States. So yeah, let's keep going.
Thank you for having me, Piers. It's very early here in Los Angeles, California, but I'm gonna try to do my very best to not do my British accent while I'm here.
Well, I appreciate that. And listen, I appreciate you coming on. Explain to me why you consider me a stenographer for the Israeli government, given that in the last week, I think more than any other host in the world, I have given lengthy platforms to pro Palestinian voices to articulate that side of the argument.
No, I do have to commend you. You certainly have had more pro-Palestinian voices than
Sorry about that.
The rest of the British media and certainly the rest of Western media in general. Now, as far as saying that you're a stenographer, I said that journalists are not supposed to be stenographers, and yet when it comes down to it, in most circumstances, in whatever conflict we may be in, there are stenographers for whichever party is aligning with the American State Department and the interests of the West in general. And Israel happens to be the one in this ongoing conflict.
But it's interesting that you call me a propagandist because I want to play you. This was your reaction to when the hospital got
I'm
bombed.
a propagandist.
Well, no,
For the record.
No, I'm not calling
I'm a
you that.
propagandist.
I'm just saying. I'm going to play you.
I'm saying I am.
Okay, well then I want to.
I'm saying I am.
I just
before
want to
you
put
even play it.
Okay, I'm going to play the clip. This is your reaction to the bombing of the hospital the other night.
While I was in the process of getting ready for the stream, Israel enacted one of the singular worst strikes they have done thus far, and an Israeli airstrike hit the Al Ahli hospital in Gaza City, where thousands of civilians were seeking medical treatment and shelter from.
Okay, so if we don't know this already, like if we don't realize this by now, it's already like a very big issue. Like, I'm assuming everyone all around the world knows about this right now. Like, just give me a sec while I update, like some information on my live stream here. But like in the meantime, like, I don't think no one knows. Like, I truly think that everyone knows about what's been going on in Palestine and Israel. So I'm gonna move past that. I'm gonna move past the introductions and all of that. So for now, let me just make a quick update. I guess this is good. I don't give a shit. Honestly, I don't care about like anything whatsoever. Like, Let it be whatever it's going to be. Oh, and I guess I'm gonna have to share the link again. Fuck. Like even speed. Like you know the streamer speed, like the guy that everyone makes fun of. Like he said it himself. Like free Palestine. Like come on, dude. How are we so like not we, but like how is the West so fucking blind to this? It's fucking mind-boggling. Anyways, so yeah, let's keep going.
Relentless bombing campaign.
Now, interestingly, when you were saying that, I was coming on air too, and I took a position based probably on 30 years of being a journalist, including running major newspapers, working at CNN and others.
I don't want to watch
of
Biden.
waiting.
Like,
I'm just saying, I think we should just wait and see
I'll update
what
this.
has actually happened
Oh,
here,
shit, I
get
deleted
clarification, see who's actually to blame before we start passing judgment. You raced in to assume, as many people did, by the way, including the New York Times, BBC, mainstream media, and of course most of the Arab world then followed, that this was clearly, indisputably, an Israeli airstrike on this hospital. And yet all the evidence now suggests very strongly that it wasn't, that in fact this was a rocket that misfired coming from a
really
terrorist
hard. Go that far.
inside Gaza. So my question for you is this. Why would you
I wouldn't go that far,
Why
Piers.
would you be so certain in what you said before you knew?
Okay. So, first and foremost, before we get started on this conversation, let's understand something very important here. There's no electricity in Gaza. Internet is patchy in Gaza. There's no food in Gaza. There's no water in Gaza. This is all by design. This is because Gaza is under a brutal blockade, a brutal occupation by the Israeli government. Okay? So that plays a role in the fog of war and the misinformation that gets spread. Having said that, however, you made it seem as though there is a certainty that this was 100% not an Israeli airstrike.
No, I didn't.
And instead,
I literally just said it's not a certainty.
Okay, sorry.
I said the
then I
evidence.
misunderstood
The
you.
evidence is
Then I
increasingly
misunderstood
pointing to this not being an Israeli airstrike, and that is expert evidence
Okay,
from people who have no skin in the game at all.
you. Yes. Well, I don't know which expert you're talking about, because I think Channel 4 did a pretty good job. As a matter of fact, I would say Channel 4 did probably the best job so far in analyzing everything that the IDF has said. But the reason why I believed, and I still do believe, that the likelihood is that this was an Israeli bombing campaign wasn't only because of the singular verifiable video, the phone video from the balcony that had all of the markings of an airstrike, the fact that the Israeli Air Force was enacting a bombing campaign in the region at the time, according to the Al Jazeera live streaming footage that everyone is using but doesn't understand, the fact that the digital media person for the IDF immediately came out and said that
Which that this would be Mu'taz Azaiza, I guess.
this was actually an airstrike that hit a Hamas target, and that he was sad that there were, casualties at the end of the day, but this was a Hamas target and celebrated it. And more importantly, I guess, the fact that this hospital had been bombed by Israel. This hospital had been bombed by Israel on Saturday. 22 hospitals have, as a matter of fact, been bombed by Israel since this last saga in the occupation. And this hospital had been bombed directly by Israel, where the cancer ward was destroyed. Israel has been bombing all of these hospitals. Israel has been calling all of these hospitals to evacuate over and over and over again. The medical professionals at the hospital had been called by the Israeli government the day prior, and everyone on the ground assumes that this is an Israeli airstrike. They are the ones who experienced the situation.
Listen, Hasan,
so when you have
but the
every
truth
single,
is,
can I just finish this?
if you watch the
Can I just finish this?
BBC, if you watch the
Can I-
BBC account of all this last night, by their Verify unit, which was specifically set up by the BBC to be completely dispassionate in these investigations. And they reached a pretty clear conclusion based on circumstantial evidence, I'll make that clear, that this would not have been an Israeli airstrike, including, for example, the size of the crater, which bears no relation to the size of craters normally left by Israeli. So, look, my point is, neither of us know for sure. But you took to your airwaves immediately because actually your, I wouldn't even say unconscious bias, your admitted propagandist bias on your part was that you wanted that to be an Israeli airstrike. It suited your narrative. And I would say that...
Okay, so suited your narrative, but okay, so I don't know, like, in which language can I like talk about this? And really, I don't think anyone's gonna listen to this anyways, so I might as well like say it however I feel like saying it. Dude, the construct of using words, you said it in your own biased propaganda, or like, what did he say? What did he say?
I wouldn't even say unconscious bias, your admitted propagandist bias.
Propagandist biased. Okay, so like the use of like what he calls propagandist bias, like, why would you even put that into concept or context? Like, okay, we both know that everyone is kind of a propagandist. Like, if you think about it enough, like if you're brave and not, it doesn't have anything to do with being brave or being like confident in yourself. It's more like, it's more like fucking opinions. Like, everyone is a propagandist, just like everyone could be a conspiracy theorist, depending on the realm of thing that they talk about. So how, like, what makes it an aspect worth considering as an obstacle inside of a conversation for that to be an issue? Like, what, propagandist bias? Okay, yeah, he has a propagandist bias, and it suited his narrative. It doesn't have anything to do with narrative. It has to do with. It doesn't have to do anything to. Does not have anything to do with his narrative. It has anything and everything to do with the narrative of all, like, overall everything going on. Like, I'm not gonna keep saying or naming facts. I'm not gonna give out facts or say, okay, so here's what's up, this and that and this and that. No, it's not like that. It doesn't have to be like that. Like, we all know what is what by now. Like, Arabs, Muslims, they all know what is going on with Palestine. They all know the amount of inhumane treatment they've been getting treated in the last 18 or like 19 or even 20 days, like ever since the 7th of October. Like, but that does not cover it. That does not cover any of it. Like, if we do not acknowledge not only their needs, but the actual division between what Hamas is doing and what, like, let's divide facts into what they are. Israel is not supposed to exist. Period. Like, it's not. It's just an god damn it. It's just an appetite, like, state. Like, it no other fucking like country in Europe wanted to take them in. Like, it was considered to be like, let's call it as like the neglected child, and no one wanted to take it in, and they were like, well, we'll fund you somewhere to stay. And they, come on, dude. Like, do I really have to keep saying any of this? Like, it doesn't really have to be like that. But yeah,
on your part was that you wanted that to be an Israeli airstrike. It suited your narrative. And I would say that that in itself, in its way,
wanted it to be an
is being a
Israeli airstrike.
stenographer. Well, you know, you accuse me of being a stenographer. I try and be fair and get to the truth. In your case, I don't think you try to do that. I think you appeal to your audience, appeal to your base, and you don't really care whether the facts are there or not.
This is fucking horrendous. I mean, look at the look on his face. Like, he's absolutely like skeptical about what he's saying. and it seems like it shows from his face, like he's not even convinced of what he's saying. Yet he's trying to convince Hasan that like what he's saying is negative, or like to put it in the light of it being a negative rule or a negative argument. It's not a negative argument. Like what Hamas did is trying to break free from, I mean, like they've put that into consideration already last time when Piers like interviewed Bassam Youssef, and like Bassam even like asked him the question like, imagine if someone came to your house and they were like, nah, I live here right now, and they locked you inside a toilet, inside a bathroom, and without no electricity, no water, no food, nothing whatsoever for like a shit ton of time. Not just that, but like let's take things back to like when they first started, like ever since 1948, someone put you in your own, like in your own bathroom, like in your own house, and they were like, yeah, I live here right now, and they went on modifying and changing and redecorating and doing all of the shit to your house. And by the time you've had enough, you wanted to break free from that. Now the world is like asking you like if that's admissible, or not, just not admissible, but like if that's actually an excuse, or yeah, it is an excuse. Like I've had fucking enough. I want my people to have their own lives. I want my people to be independent in their own land. It's their own. Like all kinds of proof show that it's their own land. You cannot tell me otherwise. Like passports from back in 1930, I guess. Not even even before, I guess 1930. Yeah, 1938 or 19, between 1930 and 1938. But like passports say government of Palestine, coins, keys, like whoever who like immigrated from where they originally lived in Palestine, like and immigrated, they took their own house keys, hoping to return, and none of them returned. And like a lot of these families has gone extinct by now. Like they their entire documents that prove that that family ever existed is gone along with them. Could you imagine that? And you're trying to ask me if what Hamas did is fair? Yeah, it is fair compared to everything that Israel has been doing. Okay, so yeah, it is fair. Israel deserves what, like, and I've seen this in this like live stream already, but let's just get to it.
This is entirely unfair because you just said circumstantial evidence favors that this was not an Israeli airstrike.
Yeah.
I gave you all of the circumstantial evidence that
Exactly.
does favor that this is an Israeli airstrike. The reason why, however, circumstantial evidence is not enough. And the one thing that I will concede to, because when more information did come out, and no, I do not mean when Israel said that they did not bomb this hospital and it was actually Hamas, and then they turned around and went, never mind, it's not Hamas, it's actually Islamic Jihad. And then they said, we have more evidence coming out in a couple hours. And then the evidence came out, and it turns out it sounded like the phone conversations that they were able to intercept, supposedly, sounded like, by experts at the very least, to be completely false and completely made up.
Yeah,
It
but
was not-
Yeah, not just that, but like they were discussing like if that call is confirmed to be Hamas members, and I'm not saying they are, they might be, they might even be like normal citizens that are speaking about like what's going on, considering their geographical place at that specific time. That like they you don't know, like they could have been near an Israeli base or something like that. But like that conversation, as far as I heard and as far as I read on the captions followed to that conversation, it all proves that it is an Israeli attack. It is like, oh, I mean, come on, come on. Israel is Israel has shot itself in the foot. Okay, like that's that. And there's nothing back in me or anyone else from this. Like, it has shot itself in its own foot. It has shown the world and it's shown everyone around it that has trusted it and that has provided it with money and with like everything imaginable, like from force and all of that, to be absolutely convinced that, well, Israel does not trust its own troops. It does not trust its own soldiers. It does not trust its own force on land, which is why they strike by air. Like all the evidence is out there. Okay, like all the evidence shows and leads, or at least the not tempered with evidence shows that Israel cannot handle its own on its own. It needs the constant help and the constant support of the US and every other country that supports it, just for the sake of their own interest in that region, as Biden said in 1960, 19, whatever the fuck was that. Okay? So, like, yeah, as we all seen, it is not as. It's nothing. Israel is nothing. Like, it's absolutely nothing. It's a joke.
And I don't think. Listen. In all honesty, I don't think even as you're saying all this, I think you're a smart guy.
Piers, let me finish.
I think you've looked at all of this, and I think in your heart, you know this was probably not an Israeli airstrike. And I'm just curious why you would, instead of admitting that as facts change,
that is
your
not
opinion
what I'm
changed.
saying. That is not what I'm saying at all.
I don't understand why you would double and treble down when the evidence is pointing the other way.
You're asking me to be on your show. Do you want to talk?
Yes.
If you're asking me to be on your show, and I want to be on the show, thank you so much for having me on your show. Let me explain exactly what I said, and let me explain to you why I think still, to this very moment, until there is a third-party investigation that is concluded by the UN, the International Criminal Court, or specifically a forensic analyst that looks at the situation, is allowed to be on the ground. This is not just my perspective. This is B'Tselem as well, which is an Israeli organization that has also demanded a third-party investigation occur. I am not going to conclusively say that this was not Israel's fault.
I don't expect you to.
Because I just gave you, and not because I'm a propagandist. As far as me being a propagandist goes, everyone is a propagandist. I'm just honest about it. You're a propagandist. We have our biases.
I'm curious who you think I'm a propagandist for.
For the media that you're working on, I know it's your show. It could be your show in terms of like ownership, complete ownership, but that does not mean that your show isn't controlled by outside parties that influence the direction of how you must or how you need to drive your show to the demographic that is most often watching you. So yeah, that's who you're propagandist for. Okay, like, so if Hasan couldn't tell that because he was on the spot and you put him on the spot in a very bad way, there you go. There you know. Now, like, the more you know. Alright? Like, you're a propagandist for the people for the people that are keeping the well-being of your show going on. I know it's your money. I know it's your investment. It probably could be your ownership, but that does not mean shit, because someone for like above you in terms of like power, knowledge, or whatever the fuck is controlling the narrative from behind. I know it's uncensored. I know it's Piers Morgan uncensored, in which you bring people to talk about all of their perspectives without trying to censor them, hence the name of the show, which kind of brings me the question of like, if this show is your own, or if it's complete full ownership or not. But still, there are like higher powers that control the narratives of what the media works on, which is why the world, I'm not gonna say the US, the entire world has worked or kept working on evolving and kept creating more media platforms for people to say whatever they need to say, for people to come out and like say what they think is the right thing to say. And like on each platform there are kinds of like censorship depending on what you talk about or what you provide on that kind of content, but still it goes way beyond media. And when I say media, I don't mean the stuff that we watch on our screens. I mean media in terms of the news themselves, like how they get constructed, how you even deliver the words and the sentences to people's ears. And so that's who you're a propagandist for.
About my bias.
Who do you think I'm a propagandist for?
Who do I think you're a propagandist for? Whichever every media person is doing propaganda.
But who for? I've got to be doing it for somebody.
You think it's a bad word? I don't. That's just the difference.
Exactly. It's not a bad word. It's just a principle. Just like someone saying that they are conspiracy theorists, it does not mean that they conspire against the government, whichever it is, but it means that they enjoy theorizing conspiracies. Period. I mean, imagine how many theories you could come up with on your own, just right now, on the fly, freestyling, based on information or information on things that you enjoy knowing information about. Like, let's say, I don't know, the Antarctica, or even let's say like the edge of the world for those like flat earthers. But like that could be you could create, construct, and structuralize a conspiracy based on just that. Like you enjoy something, you don't have full ideas, like you don't have a full idea on what it is or what it could be, and so that's it. That's what you're doing. So no. Let's keep going.
This is a
I do. I think it's
conversation
actually quite a
that is
serious charge.
uninteresting.
Hasan, I think it's a serious charge to level, not as a podcaster, but as a journalist who's broadcasting around the world, who has a reputation, I believe, for being fair and impartial, actually, on these issues. It's quite a charge to just say...
Okay, something else. Here's a conspiracy, or here's a theory. Someone who's, and this is psychological, by the way, someone who says that they think or believe that they are a fair person kind of goes completely against the entire principle of being a fair person or even a good person in the first place. So you believing or you hoping to believe that you are a good person or a fair person kind of completely takes it out of the image. Why? Well, because you got your own consciousness to think about how to fulfill that. While on the other hand, Muslims, Arabs, or let's say just like people of strong faith don't. Like you can go ahead and ask any Arab person if they think they're a good person, and whoever like and you'll see how the majority of them will say, no, I don't think I am a good person. All I think I am is trying to do what's right and trying to do what my God has told me to do. And that's what I'm doing. That's it. Damn.
I'm a stenographer for the Israeli government or I'm a propagandist. I don't think there's any evidence that I'm either of those things. I'm curious who you think I am doing
While
the
we're
propaganda
having this
for.
conversation, 3,000... Piers, while we're having this back and forth, 3,840 Palestinians have been ruthlessly slaughtered in the last incursion into Gaza. I feel like this is an incredibly selfish, self-centered conversation to have. You asked me to be on here. You wanted to hear my perspective. I'm willing to give it to you. I don't want to talk about I don't want to talk about Noam Chomsky style manufacturing consent conversations about how the media is operating in the behest of capital.
You were the guy. Listen,
I think
you were the guy that called me.
There are dead people.
Listen, Hasan, I only asked you because you're the guy that called me a propagandist and called me a baboon in a suit. I was curious as to why. You don't want to say who I'm doing the propaganda for. We'll move on. I agree with you. There's a bigger picture here. Let's move on. Let's take a short break. Hasan, let's take a short break. I want to come
Okay.
back. I want to talk to you about what happened on October the 7th.
Self-centered conversation to have. You asked me to be on here. You wanted to hear my perspective. I'm willing to give it to you. I don't want to talk about I don't want to talk about Noam Chomsky style manufacturing consent conversations about how the media is operating in the behest of capitalism.
You were the guy. Listen,
I think
you were the guy that called me.
There are dead people.
Listen, Hasan, I only asked you because you're the guy that called me a propagandist and called me a baboon in a suit. I was curious as to why. You don't want.
Well, the fact that this conversation took that long to resolve proves that you are a propaganda. Bruh, you're defending the question of why does Hasan think you're a propagandist. Okay, so let's look at things from a more realistic aspect, okay? You are clearly way more like successful than he is in your own way, in your own deliverance of media. What makes you think that you asking him the question of like what makes me a propagandist he will have an answer for? You should not think that he has an answer for that, because to him that's just a principle, that's just a thought process, being a propagandist or being a conspiracy theorist or whatever else. But the fact that you are defending your own question as to why you want to find the answer for why you think he thinks you are a propagandist proves to everyone already that you are a propagandist. Like, bruh.
Want to say
I know,
who I'm doing the propaganda for. We'll move on. I agree with you. There's a bigger picture here. Let's move on. Let's take a short break. Hasan, let's take a short break. I want to come back. I want to talk to you about what happened on October the 7th. Get your reaction to that. Welcome back. Hasan Piker is still with me. Hasan, I want to just play you a clip of something that you said about the October 7th terror attacks, and in particular, the attack at the music festival, which killed 260 people.
Look at this guy. You know what shouldn't happen? Killing 260 people at a music festival. No, you're right, man. That just happened on its own because, like, bad guys wanted to do bad things. You're right. Dude, if they subjugated you to a open-air prison your whole life, you're going to break out eventually when you realize that there's no other way to get out of it.
I mean, it sounds to me there, Hasan, that you are in some way saying they had it coming. Were you?
No.
To me there, Hasan, that you are in some way saying they had it coming.
Sorry about that. Yes, they did. They had it coming. So like no one knew when it was coming. No one knew or like predicted when it could happen. But like all evidence by all books lead to that. It's fucking history repeating itself in one way. And another way, it's religious books coming to a piece of closure. Like, doesn't that bring a little bit of I don't know, let's say comfort to you? Like to know that, goddamn, like, yeah, they had it coming. That's what I'm trying to say. They had it coming. They deserved it. Like, I mean, if I had imagined, like, if I could imagine someone kicking into my own house and like sticking me into my own like toilet and leaving me there locked up without anything, like without my basic human rights, and they lived in my house without me knowing what they're doing, and like